Carolina and be back in Alabama before. I think I had to be back there about 4 o'clock that afternoon. So I had to turn like 1,000 miles in like 22 hours.
Wow. And that was from where to where?
I had to go from here, the house, to Lumber Bridge, North Carolina, from Lumber Bridge, North Carolina to Albertville, Alabama.
And how much time did you have to do that? You said 22 hours?
Yeah, about 22 hours.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. What do they even have a company that will take your load from you if you break down and complete the trip?
No, no. Um, that's on if you have your own authority, and that's the thing that people look at as being a true independent when you have your own authority. But what I lost more money having my own authority than I ever did in life because when you have your own authority, the way you go in there, if you're gonna have your own authority, you need to go in, and this is not being facetious. This being reality. You need to go in with $1 million bank account.
Okay, and that's gonna cover what considerations
What
are.
that $1 million bank account does is just and that $1 million is not to use. That's just as that safety blanket. So when you get that situation where you have a truck blower engine, which is $32,000, um, it blow an engine, you can take a driver, you can tell that driver like, hey, look, go over the rider. I just reserved your truck. Go over there and pick that truck up. Somebody gonna come pick your truck up, take it, repair that engine while you go, because the deposit on a big truck, you talking about $10,000 to rent a big truck. So that means you got to give a $10,000 deposit um, to go get that truck. Then you're gonna have to pay by the mile for that
So
truck.
it's not even worth it.
No, you ain't got no other choice
Okay, this is okay.
because that's because you're in business,
Okay.
and so a smart businessman and I'm not saying I wasn't smart. It's just that the the glory of having your own authority don't prepare you for having your own authority.
Okay.
So when you have your own authority, you need to have, like I said, you need to have like $1 million, at least a $500,000 bank account for incidentals, where if a truck break down, if if for instance you you have a major, like say you we put reefer trailers, say you have a reefer van go down, um, to get somebody to come and transload that stuff off of that reefer van onto another van. It's just that $500,000 would have kept me in business because what put me out of business was just incidental BS,
Okay. A little small micro. I'm gonna say micro, even though it's thousands of dollars.
micro cuts.
Yeah.
And sometimes it ain't even the small things. It's just the bad timing. You can have a blowout. Um, like I had super singles on one truck, and you have a blowout with a super single. That means like versus to having the dual tires, you just have the single tire. So you have a super single blowout on the road. That's $1,500 to get it repaired.
Wow.
You know, um, and so if you have just this emergency, and it seems like and I put like this here, for every truck you have, you you got to have at least $100,000 just set aside just for incidentals on that one truck. And in my situation, I have 5 trucks, and so that's why I said a mil. But I'm thinking like a $500,000 probably would have put me where I need to be, and you always got to stay there. So that
You
half
always got to stay at the 500K.
that the 500K. So you spend like on that bad situation where you replace an engine, get a rental, keep that rental for a week because that's how long it's going to take them to do that engine. So you talking about you out at $60,000. So your goal is now you got to get that $60,000 back to that 500,000 as quickly as possible.
Okay, so lessons learned as being your own boss with your own trucking company. So now, I'm quite sure if you went back, you would definitely take your experience and make it a better experience.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this: what gave you the passion to even thinking about being a truck driver and running your own business?
Um, when I was raised in the projects in Wilmington, North Carolina, and where our apartment was, we was on the second row from the street that led to the state ports. So right before the projects was a railroad track. So trucks will run 24 hours a day down Third Street, and they'll run. So you're here because they'll go over the railroad tracks, and so we used to sit there at this window because at the angle we sat at, we could actually see them soon they cross the railroad tracks. We'll see the trucks, and I used to just dream all the time, just say that's what I'm gonna do one day. I'm gonna drive trucks. And then my dad was a truck driver, and then when I was 10 years old, he took me on the road with him for a week. And after that, I was done, bro. It's like this is all I want to do the rest of my life.
So, what other trucking experience did you get after nine?
Um, just just being around them. My dad, he he was 90% of the time he was living his life, not just because he was a trucker, just because of who he was. And um, I used to just love to when I used to walk home from school. Um, it was a certain place from the school to my house when I was in um, junior high. Uh, once you from my house to my junior high school was a straight 2.5 mile walk. Once I got down to the bottom of the hill and started cresting the hill, if my dad was home, I could see the truck.
Okay.
And every day, my passion is just to see is that truck there. More often than not, it wasn't there, but the days that it was there, it was just awesome, you know. And but my best experience was where the projects was. It was a lake called Greenfield Lake, which was about 2 blocks away from the projects. And every year during the Azalea Festival, um, they have displays. The Army, because we was in between Fort Bragg and Camp Lejeune, the Army, the Marines, the Air Force, everybody would come out down and set up displays. So one year, this guy was there and he had on a maroon beret, the pickle khaki suit, how they used to do back in the 70s. And I walked up to the soldier and I said, "Hey, what do you do?" He said, "I jump out of planes." And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "When I grow up, I'm going to be a truck driver." And this soldier looked at me. He said, "I'm a truck driver." I said, "But you said you jump out of planes." He said, "I'm an airborne truck driver." And I think I probably was like 6 or 7 years old. And I said, "You know what? That's what I'm going to be." And I used to tell all my friends growing up that I was going to be an airborne truck driver. So I always just, had the passion to be a truck driver.
So, did you join the military?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I joined the Army Reserve at my junior year in high school, uh, May 5th, 1983. I was a junior in high school. At 17 years old, I joined the Army Reserve. Told them I wanted to be a truck driver. They said, "We don't have any truck driver positions. Only thing we have is stevedore positions," which the Army called them cargo specialists. But because back in the days, a lot of people don't realize that back in the days, ships was actually offloaded by hand. Um, and they'll put them on pallets, and it was mainly us folks, black folks, which they used to call longshoremen, spend 17, 18 hours in ship halls, unloading ships, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was my job in the Army Reserve, and I did that for 3 years. And then when I went active duty, I said, even though I had a high aptitude score, they offered me military intelligence, aviation, but I said, the only thing I want to do is be a truck driver.
Okay. So, how many years did you drive trucks or be in the trucking business for the military, transportation business for the military?
Total of 26 years.
Okay. So, what? Give me one experience driving a truck, you know, that you had that you didn't think you could do, or the situation changed so much, and you were able to afterwards say, "Wow, I don't know how I did that, but I got it done."
Um, I guess transitioning from being a truck driver to being a leader of truck drivers. As a platoon sergeant, I had 16 PLSs. That's a palletized loading system. It was a new system that the Army had, and it was a dual system where it had a straight truck, and then it had a trailer that went along that carried a downloadable flatbed. Um, and my platoon, I was always the type of person where you know, I'm I'm making truck drivers. So it was a run that took everybody else. They said a run, it was a everybody was doing it, taking 2 days to do this run. I told my company commander, I said, "Hey, sir," I said, "first platoon, we can do this in one pull." I said, "I set up 4 rest stops along the way. It's only a total drive time 12 hours." And I said, every 3 hours we'll stop, refuel, refresh, and regenerate our drivers. And 16 trucks left, 16 trucks returned, and we did the trip. And total time was 16 hours. That's including the unrest stops, but it was done in less than the 48-hour time period that everybody else did.
Okay. So that's one of them things where it shows your passion
Yeah.
about doing your job and not just kind of taking it for granted. You want to make a difference.
Yes.
So, as we close this, Big Easy, the trucker, the business owner, transportation guru, he's going to come back with many experiences, stories of his experience on the road across this nation. Big Easy, is it anything you want to tell your fans before you go?
Hey man, just keep following me. You'll see me out there singing. My passion is singing and driving, so you'll see me out there singing, whether it's gospel, country, or whatever. You'll see my mirage of pictures of the different places I go. I try and post it on Facebook and Instagram once a week of the different places I go around the country.
What are your sites?
J Woody, J. Woody, J. Wood. E on Instagram, and Melvin W. Evans Jr. on Facebook.
Okay, everybody, you heard it here. He's gonna come back plenty of times. He's gonna let you know his grind on the road, and hey, go check him out. Talk to you later.